Close bracket. Jump to nav. https://simple.wikipedia.org/wiki/ecosystem_services. Ecosystem services. Simple. Jump to navigation. Jump to search. Ecosystem services are processes by which the natural environment produces resources useful to people, as to economic services. They include provision of clean water and air, flood control, pollination of crops, mitigation of environmental hazards, pest and disease control, carbon sequestration, aesthetic, cultural and ethical values associated with biodiversity. To look at the way in which ecosystems provide goods is popular now at Stanford University. The concept of ecosystem services is similar to that of natural capital. The Millennium Ecosystem Assessment released in 2005 showed that 60% of ecosystem services are used in a way that destroys them. https://simple.wikipedia.org/wiki/nature27s_services. Nature services. Simple. Jump to navigation. Jump to search. Nature services is a term for the ways in which nature benefits humans. It means particularly those benefits that can be measured in economic terms. Robert Costanza and other theorists of natural capital analyzed nature's services to humanity in the 1990s. The economic contribution of 17 of these services they calculated to be about $33 trillion per year, greater than the activities of the whole human economy, which was about $25 trillion. This was based on estimated costs of replacing the services nature provides. For that purpose they were compared with equivalent services that are produced by humans. This calculation makes clear that mankind cannot develop without nature's services. 1. This study is central for the theory of natural capital. But this study had no great influence on government policy or on WTO, IMF or G8 economic and trade policy. https://endpointwikipedia.org/wiki/ecosystem_services. Ecosystem services. Full. Jump to navigation. Jump to search. Honeybee on avocado crop. Pollination is just one type of ecosystem service. Upland bog in Wales, forming the official source of the River Severn. Healthy bogs sequester carbon, hold back water, thereby reducing flood risk, and supply cleaned water better than degraded habitats do. Social forestry in Andhra Pradesh, India, providing fuel, soil protection, shade and even well-being to travelers. Ecosystem services are the many and varied benefits that humans freely gain from the natural environment and from properly functioning ecosystems. Such ecosystems include, for example, agroecosystems, forest ecosystems, grassland ecosystems and aquatic ecosystems. These ecosystems functioning properly provide such things like agricultural produce, timber, and aquatic organisms such as fishes and crabs. Collectively, these benefits are becoming known as ecosystem services, and are often integral to the provisioning of clean drinking water, the decomposition of wastes, and the natural pollination of crops and other plants. While scientists and environmentalists have discussed ecosystem services implicitly for decades, the Millennium Ecosystem Assessment, MA, in the early 2000s popularized this concept. 1. Their ecosystem services are grouped into 4 broad categories: provisioning, such as the production of food and water; regulating, such as the control of climate and disease; supporting, such as nutrient cycles and oxygen production; and cultural, such as spiritual and recreational benefits. To help inform decision makers, many ecosystem services are being assigned economic values. Contents: 1. History. 2. Definition. 3. Categorization. 3.1 Supporting services. 3.2 Provisioning services. 3.3 Regulating services. 3.4 Cultural services. 3.5 Common International Classification of Ecosystem Services, CISES. 4 examples. 5 Ecology. 5.1 Redundancy hypothesis. 5.2 Portfolio effects. 6 Economics. 7 Management and policy. 7.1 Ecosystem-based adaptation, EBA. 8 Estuarine and coastal ecosystem services. 8.1 Regulating services. 8.1.1 Climate regulation. 8.1.2 Waste treatment and disease. Regulation 8.1.3 Buffer Zones 8.2 Provisioning Services 8.2.1 Marine Products 8.2.2 Freshwater 8.2.3 Raw Materials 8.2.4 Biochemical and Genetic Resources 8.3 Cultural Services 8.3.1 Inspirational 8.3.2 Recreation and Tourism 8.3.3 Science and Education 8.4 Supporting Services 8.4.1 Nutrient Cycling 8.4.2 Biologically Mediated Habitats 8.4.3 Primary Production 9 Business World 10 Land Use Change Decisions 11 See also 12 References 13 Further reading 14 External links History. While the notion of human dependence on Earth's ecosystems reaches to the start of Homo sapiens' existence, the term natural capital was first coined by E.F. Schumacher in 1973 in his book Small is Beautiful. 2. Recognition of how ecosystems could provide complex services to humankind date back to at least Plato, c. 400 BC, who understood that deforestation could lead to soil erosion and the drying of springs. 3. Page needed. Modern ideas of ecosystem services probably began when Marsh challenged in 1864 the idea that Earth's natural resources are unbounded by pointing out changes in soil fertility in the Mediterranean. 4. Page needed. It was not until the late 1940s that three key authors Henry Fairfield Osborn Jr., 5. William Vogt, 6. and Aldo Leopold, 7. promoted recognition of human dependence on the environment. In 1956, Paul Sears drew attention to the critical role of the ecosystem in processing wastes and recycling nutrients. 8. In 1970, Paul Ehrlich and Rosa Wiegert called attention to ecological systems in their environmental science textbook. 9. And the most subtle and dangerous threat to man's existence, the potential destruction, by man's own activities, of those ecological systems upon which the very existence of the human species depends. The term environmental services was introduced in a 1970 report of the study of critical environmental problems, 10, which listed services including insect pollination, fisheries, climate regulation and flood control. In following years, variations of the term were used, but eventually ecosystem services became the standard in scientific literature. 11. The ecosystem services concept has continued to expand and includes socio-economic and conservation objectives, which are discussed below. A history of the concepts and terminology of ecosystem services as of 1997 can be found in Daly's book Nature Services, Societal Dependence on Natural Ecosystems. 3. While Gretchen Daly's original definition distinguished between ecosystem goods and ecosystem services, Robert Costanza and colleagues' later work in that of the Millennium Ecosystem Assessment lumped all of these together as ecosystem services. 12. 13. Definition per the 2006 Millennium Ecosystem Assessment. MA. Ecosystem services are the benefits people obtain from ecosystems. The MA also delineated the four categories of ecosystem services: supporting, provisioning, regulating and cultural, discussed below. By 2010, there had evolved various working definitions and descriptions of ecosystem services in the literature. 14. To prevent double counting in ecosystem services audits. For instance, the Economics of Ecosystems and Biodiversity (TEB) replaced supporting services in the MA with habitat services and ecosystem functions. Defined as a subset of the interactions between ecosystem structure and processes that underpin the capacity of an ecosystem to provide goods and services. 15. Categorization. Detritivores like this dung beetle help to turn animal wastes into organic material that can be reused by primary producers. The Millennium Ecosystem Assessment (MA) Report 2005 defines ecosystem services as benefits people obtain from ecosystems and distinguishes four categories of ecosystem services, where the so-called supporting services are regarded as a basis for the services of the other three categories. 1. Supporting services. These include services such as nutrient cycling, primary production, soil formation, habitat provision and pollination. 16. These services make it possible for the ecosystems to continue providing services such as food supply, flood regulation, and water purification. Provisioning services food, including seafood and game, crops, wild foods, and spices raw materials, including lumber, skins, fuel wood, organic matter, fodder, and fertilizer, genetic resources, including crop improvement genes, and healthcare, water purity biogenic minerals medicinal resources, including pharmaceuticals, chemical models, and test and assay organisms, energy, hydropower biomass fuels, ornamental resources, including fashion, handicraft, jewelry, pets, worship, decoration, and souvenirs like furs, feathers, ivory, orchids, butterflies, aquarium fish, shells, etc. Regulating services carbon sequestration and climate regulation predation regulates prey populations waste decomposition and detoxification purification of water and air pest and disease control cultural services cultural, including use of nature as motif in books, film, painting, folklore, national symbols, architect, advertising, etc. Spiritual and historical, including use of nature for religious or heritage value or natural, recreational experiences, including ecotourism, outdoor sports, and recreation, science, and education, including use of natural systems for school excursions, and scientific discovery, therapeutic, including ecotherapy, social forestry and animal-assisted therapy. There is discussion as to how the concept of cultural ecosystem services can be operationalized. A good review of approaches in landscape aesthetics, cultural heritage, outdoor recreation, and spiritual significance to define and assess cultural values of our environment so that they fit into the ecosystem services approaches given by Daniel and others. 17. Who vote for models that explicitly link ecological structures and functions with cultural values and benefits. There also is a fundamental critique of the concept of cultural ecosystem services that builds on three arguments. 18. Pivotal cultural values attaching to the natural/cultivated environment rely on an area's unique character that cannot be addressed by methods that use universal scientific parameters to determine ecological structures and functions. If a natural/cultivated environment has symbolic meanings and cultural values, the object of these values are not ecosystems, but shaped phenomena like mountains, lakes, forests, and, mainly, symbolic landscapes. 19. Those cultural values do result, not from properties produced by ecosystems, but are the product of a specific way of seeing within the given cultural framework of symbolic experience. 20. Common International Classification of Ecosystem Services, CISES. The Common International Classification of Ecosystem Services, CISES, is a classification scheme developed to accounting systems, like national counts etc., in order to avoid double counting of supporting services with others provisioning and regulating services. https://cises.eu/ Examples. The following examples illustrate the relationships between humans and natural ecosystems through the services derived from them. In New York City, where the quality of drinking water had fallen below standards required by the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, authorities opted to restore the polluted Catskill watershed that had previously provided the city with the ecosystem service of water purification. Once the input of sewage and pesticides to the watershed area was reduced, natural abiotic processes such as soil absorption and filtration of chemicals, together with biotic recycling via root systems and soil microorganisms, water quality improved to levels that met government standards. The cost of this investment in natural capital was estimated between $1-1.5 billion, which contrasted dramatically with the estimated $6-8 billion cost of constructing a water filtration plant plus the $300 million annual running costs. 21. Pollination of crops by bees is required. 30% of US food production. Most large-scale farmers import non-native honeybees to provide this service. One study, 22, reports that in California's agricultural region, it was found that wild bees alone could provide partial or complete pollination services, or enhance the services provided by honeybees through behavioral interactions. However, intensified agricultural practices can quickly erode pollination services through the loss of species. The remaining species are unable to compensate this. The results of this study also indicate that the proportion of chaparral and oak woodland habitat available for wild bees within 1–2 kilometers of a farm can stabilize and enhance the provision of pollination services. The presence of such ecosystem element functions almost like an insurance policy for farmers. In watersheds of the Yangtze River, China, spatial models for water flow through different forest habitats were created to determine potential contributions for hydroelectric power in the region. By quantifying the relative value of ecological parameters, vegetation soil slope complexes, researchers were able to estimate the annual economic benefit of maintaining forests in the watershed for power services to be 2.2 times that if it were harvested once for timber. 23. In the 1980s, mineral water company Vittel, now a brand of Nestlé Waters, faced a critical problem. Nitrates and pesticides were entering the company's springs in northeastern France. Local farmers had intensified agricultural practices and cleared native vegetation that previously had filtered water before it seeped into the aquifer used by Vittel. This contamination threatened the company's right to use the natural mineral water label under French law. 24. In response to this business risk, Vittel developed an incentive package for farmers to improve their agricultural practices and consequently reduce water pollution that had affected Vittel's product. For example, Vittel provided subsidies and free technical assistance to farmers in exchange for farmers' agreement to enhance pasture management, reforest catchments, and reduce the use of agrochemicals. This is an example of a payment for ecosystem services program. 25. It was counted that to plant 15,000 ha new woodland in the UK, if we consider only the value of timber, it would cost £79,000,000, which is more than the benefit of £65,000,000. If, however, we include all other benefits the trees in lowland could provide, like soil stabilization, wind deflection, recreation, food production, air purification, carbon storage, wildlife habitat, fuel production, cooling, flood prevention, the costs will increase due to displacing the profitable farmland, would be around £231,000,000, but will be overweight by benefits of £546,000,000. 26. In Europe, various projects are implemented in order to define the values of concrete ecosystems and to implement this concept into decision-making process. For example, Life Viva Grass project aims to do this with grasslands in Baltics. 27. Ecology understands shortening the video.